Welcome to the Security Users video. In Custom Vantage Office, a security user is one who can log in to the system and access its features and functions. To access security users, we click on System and then Security. Now, you must be logged in as an administrator in order to have the access to security. Otherwise, you have no access to security. Here we'll see all of the users that already exist. To edit one, we simply double click on it or check the checkbox and open. To create a new security user, we simply click on the new button. So we'll start there. The first thing we're going to be asked for is a user ID. User ID is what that person is going to log in with. So it could be a name, it could be initials, it could be first name dot last name, etc. What will that person use to log in? And what will be their initial password? Now, I say initial password because by default, when this user is created, this checkbox is checked that the user must change their password on the next login. So you do not have to come up with a password. You can set something default like I did, which was just the word password. And now the user will be prompted to assign a real password. And that password will be known only to them. Now, as an administrator, you don't need to know their password. You can always lock them out. You can log in as them. You can reset their password. So there's no need for an administrator to know all of the employees' passwords. You have access anyway. Once we've created that, we go to the user profile tab and we can put in their name. If we want to fill out the rest of this information, we can. If you're using the point of sale system, this is the customer that is used as the default user for point of sale. That's where somebody's walking into your store and buying, usually an anonymous person. What customer is used for that, and what version of the report do they print through the receipt printer, etc. Now, once I've filled out this person's name, you'll now see that it is displaying here. This will also show on reports. We have options here such as their default accounts. By this, we are able to set this particular user's default general ledger accounts for various transactions. It will inherit the admin's defaults, but can be changed per user. So what tax code does this user normally have, etc. When they create an order or create a new customer, what is populated? Form permissions. Form permissions are what screens do they have access to? So in other words, I can give you access to orders, but not allow you to edit the customer that's on an order. Or I can allow you to view orders, but not edit orders, etc. Controls allows me to limit what buttons on each form one can press. Report permissions, what reports do they have access to? Menu permissions, what menus do they see or not see, etc. Now, on the main settings screen, we also get to assign a user role. Roles are like prepackaged groups of permissions. So an administrator role would make this person, Bob, an administrator. Now he has access to everything. You notice the override password is now available. The default is a custom user. Custom user has almost all of the permissions of an administrator with the exception of security user. Now we can add additional roles. So at this point in the video, I'm going to take a quick moment out to show you how to add a role. We can access it by clicking on the ellipsis button. Whenever you see the ellipsis, it means there's more there. Or we could access it by user roles button up here. In either case, it's taking us to the same place. Here are the roles that currently exist. So if I want to create a new role, I can actually import, which is what I'm going to do in this particular instance, because I've already have some predefined roles. So I'm importing this role. and all of the permissions that go with this role are going to be set up on this import. I could manually go through, for example, we're going to use this as a customer service role, and you'll notice that the menu options for employees, for example, are disabled. So this person can't access employees, can't access vendors, etc. What form permissions, what controls, in other words, buttons on those forms, what reports do they have access to, etc., are all defined within that role. So now once I save that role, I can come out and assign that role to Bob. So Bob is now going to be a customer service role. Take some time, go through all of these options. You'll notice that the menu permissions and the report permissions all came from that role. If we were to log out now, so here's our main screen. If we were to log out and then log back in as Bob, we will see what he now has access to and what he doesn't. Remember, it was asking him to put in a new password. So Bob would be able to put in the temporary password that we gave him and then add his own password. Now that we are logged in as Bob, we can see what Bob would see. So this little option about one or more panels, I'm going to show you what that is. For now, I'm just going to close it. This is the dashboard setup, and I'm going to just close it. We'll come back in a moment. But what I want you to see is because of the role, he has no access to reports, no access to vendors, accounting, employees. So roles can be very powerful. Now, in our next video, we'll look at the details that Bob as a user can edit.